Lions TV, we are sponsored by Regal Elevators and Lifts Consultants Limited, a company that is owned and operated by a Millwall fan, just like every single one of the sponsors on the back balls behind me. If you are going to do a bit of business, then please keep it in the Millwall family and check out all of our sponsors' website links in the description below. This is your post-match analysis video for yesterday's Bank Holiday Monday trip to high-flying Aston Villa. A tough game, a result I was expecting. Let's start out by taking a look at the 11 that Neil Harris picked to start the match. Only one change was made from the team that drew 1-1 with Brentford on Friday, which was a false change. Ben Thompson pulled his hamstring and now looks likely to miss the last 3 games of the season. Ben Marshall come in and replaced him, and in my opinion, we're not far off our best possible side there. Just before I get onto the game, I'm just going to point out that, and I'll get onto the fan cams after, people who do fan cams, that's their opinion, it's not mine. My opinion is my opinion, and sometimes people get confused and put my opinion in the same bracket as what other people have said on the channel. As I've said before, time and again, as a fan channel, I will try and show both sides of an argument. I will try and give different opinions, not just my own. But now I'm going to give you my opinion on the Aston Villa game. Aston Villa are structurally, you know, a massive city, a massive following, a fantastic stadium. They fucked about and managed over the last couple of years. They got to the Championship final last year, and now under Dean Smith, I think they found the right man for the job. They're a fantastic team, you know, exciting coming forward. Jack Grealish is a fantastic player. Miles too good for the Championship, and he will go on to play in the Premier League, whether it's with Aston Villa or not. So I went up there fully expecting what to happen. And when we go to places like that, like we did at Sheffield United, like we go anywhere, we never dominate possession in games. We know that. Whether we're at home or away, especially away, we set up to defend, to frustrate, and then try and catch teams in the last 15 or 20 minutes. That, for me, that's how I see it. We've done it at Middlesbrough. We've done it at Derby. We've done it a few places this season. We did it at Sheffield United. We set up to frustrate and try and upset and be physical and disrupt play from other teams' patterns of play, until we can bide our time to maybe throw the big guns on at the end, and at the other end with Elliott sometimes and Morrison cause upset and unrest in the other box. I think Neil Harris knows what our strengths are. I think he knows that some of his players aren't good enough, but some of them he is to blame for, and some of them, you know, he isn't. Let's start out with the game. Aston Villa started well. They looked strong. They was getting down our wings. They was putting plenty of crosses into great areas, but they had no one to get on the end of them. And maybe that's where Tammy Abraham will usually come into play. But they were sticking lots of good balls in the box, and without really much joy. And first 10-15 minutes, I thought this was going to be a very, very long day at the office. Then I agree with Neil Harris. After that, we got back into the game, and we created chances of our own. It's disturbingly obvious the lack of confidence we've got in the opposition box and territory. You know, we just look like no one wants this. No one wants to do anything outside the ordinary, other than Jed. I'll give him credit for it, even though nothing he's doing is coming off lately. We was getting balls and we half getting them into the box, but second, third, fourth time of asking, no one wants to actually take that responsibility of shipping one in, because they don't want their crowd on their back, so they're giving it 2 yards to their mate who's then looking up, giving it 2 yards to someone else. And as I said before, by that point, defences get reset and readjust, and it's even more difficult to break them down. We had a good couple of chances, nothing come of it. We go in at the break, 1-0 down, and it is all still to play for. It was reminding me of Sheffield United. Come out the second half, and again, you know, we just tried to contain them, we tried to frustrate. They didn't have a fantastic amount of opportunity until the 70th minute when we started to try and make our way into the game and try and get something out of it. At that point, we started trying to come forward, and it just didn't happen for us. There was nothing happening for us. Occasions, I can remember a corner in the box from Fergie, and Pearce got to the back post, headed it back across. Gregory knocks one over the bar with his back to goal. We could get near them. They were just a better side than us. You know, they're going to go up eventually, if not this year. And I wasn't too disappointed with the result. We're trying to pile forward, and that's then when there was gaps starting to appear even more so. And I'll get onto that in a minute with formations and who's been playing. But then it was like the Alamo. They were just cutting through us. And Dave Martin was superb. And I said it in my full-time reaction. The question I want to know is, why has Dave Martin been sitting scratching his arse for 2 years? He should have been in goal for the last 2 years, without doubt. You know, Archer's not up to it. I think now I've been proved right, and I think now you'll probably see him leaving the club in the summer, because he can't even get anywhere near it now. And it should have happened a long, long time ago. And any player in any team at any club that doesn't perform 3-4 games usually gets dropped. When one's doing 30, 40, 50 over an amount of seasons, the mind boggles. I can't explain to you why. It's beyond me. So Dave Martin does well. I thought the defence, done very well. I thought that they defended with it for their lives. Couldn't fault any of the back four, to be honest. I thought they all did well. Lee Gregory completely up front by himself. Didn't have a fucking chance. Did not have a chance. There was no one within 20, 30 yards of him. As I said, we missed Ben Thompson. Balls were going up to Gregory, and if you've got 3 central midfielders, one of them's got to bust his bollocks to try and join in and get around Gregory for the knockdowns. Gregory's got no chance. He must be so frustrated, as I've said time and time again. It's like a broken record. For me, the game was completely and utterly lost in the midfield. Now listen, I said at full time that I thought we did our best, and I honestly think we did our best. And I got some grief for that. Obviously, some people will agree, and some people say, "How can you say they did their best?" I think midfield 5. If I had the players to do so for Stoke, I'd drop all 5 of them. And yes, that may shock a few people, but honestly, that's how I feel. Despite saying that, I do think that they tried their hardest. Leonard is so bad, and just like I've been proved right with Archer, I will be proved right with Leonard. Sheffield United bought him and sold him in a very short space of time. He's never played in the Championship. He is not good enough for the Championship. Just because someone's paid £1.7 million for a player, that doesn't automatically mean he's a good player and he's up to the standard that he's being brought in at. Torres was a fantastic player. Chelsea bought him for 50 million. He was fucking useless for Chelsea. Now, I'm not putting Ryan Leonard in Torres' bracket. I wouldn't dare. Ryan Leonard is terrible. He's a terrible football player. Now listen, despite that, I thought Leonard did his best. He does try hard, but he has almost directly caused and lost us 3 goals. Dave Martin's bailed him out once. I think Jake Cooper bailed him out the other. And in the third instance, I think Jack Grealish got brought down on the edge of the box. He's giving the ball away in vital areas because he's not good enough to play this standard of football. And he has to be dropped. Ryan Tunnicliffe doesn't touch the fucking ball. Has to be dropped. Saying people don't try, I would say Leonard tries harder than Tunnicliffe, but I'd rather have Tunnicliffe in the team because, if anything, it doesn't do any damage because he doesn't do anything. Whereas Leonard's giving the ball away in vital areas and just causing problems. Shane Ferguson's gone back to his old self, bottling out things, pulling out challenges, don't want to know, delivery's gone to pot. Jed Wallace can't be dropped. He deserves to be dropped, but he can't be dropped because he is the only one still that could possibly make something happen and dig us out of this shit. But in any other team, Jed needs to be dragged and substituted or dropped because he's just giving the fucking ball away every time. He's kicking it against people. He's not getting his head up and having a look, and if he can pick out a different pass, he's just running down the wing with his head down, fuck off, bang, just kicking it against the left back every time. And in any other team would be dropped. But in our team, we're that bad that he's got to have to play because he's the only one that could possibly pull out a moment of magic like he did for the left foot shot that the keeper saved. Ben Marshall, send him back to Norwich. Get him back to Norwich, waste of time. I don't know what's happened this time round with Marshall. And a few Norwich fans says, fuck me, you're welcome to him because he's shit. And I said, no, you're mad. He's a great player. What's happened to him? I don't know. Same manager, same team. Yes, there's less confidence in the team this time round. Just not the same player. Just didn't know he was out. Like Tunnicliffe, didn't know Marshall was out there the weekend. And you can't have that against teams like Aston Villa. I've said it before. Players like Tunnicliffe will probably be fantastic in an Aston Villa side where he can be a passenger and just give 1-2 yard passes. But when in a Millwall team that's up against it away from home, players like Tunnicliffe, and I'll put Fergie in that bracket, don't want to fucking know. And you can't have them round you. Having said that, as the midfield 3 especially, you have a midfield 3 to try and outweigh the opposition's midfield and try and dominate the midfield. They didn't protect the back 4 at any time. They were just letting runs pile through in the second half. They didn't get any second balls that dropped, and not one of them was joining in McGregor. So what was all 3 of them doing? But having said that, in a strange way, and it might sound stupid, I felt they were still trying hard. I said, honestly, Leonard tried hard. He tried his best, but his best is so far off good enough. It's unbelievable. But listen, again, Aston Villa, big club, big side, just set a club record by beating us 10 straight wins. It's not an easy place to go. We've gone there, and yes, we was outplayed. Yes, it could have been 3 or 4, if not for our goalkeeper, which for once feels fucking lovely to say that, because you see many other teams against us down the year say, fuck me, their keeper's kept him in it. Our keeper's kept us in it. But that's what he's there for. That's his job. Save the fucking ball. Get in front of it. So I think Martin can come out of the game with a lot of credit. I think the back four can come out of the game with a lot of credit. And I think Lee Gregory runs his bollocks off and didn't have a fucking kick because he's got no help, no support, no deliveries into the box, no opportunities to shoot. So it was to be expected. It was to be expected. We did our best, but unfortunately our best is no longer good enough. Not by a long stretch. Now, the fan cams, let's get into the fan cams. Again, the people I interview, it's not my opinion. And for those of you who go, stop moaning, you fucking... If you look on the comments and the likes, a lot more people like and agree on the comments than dislike. But I'm going to say it, there's a lot of people that comment every week and don't go to any games. The boys that go to the games week in, week out, not just since Lions TV started, but they always fucking have, the Armaras. They go every week up and down the country. And if you do that, then you're entitled to your opinion. Come on the channel. I've said it before, people don't like what they're saying, but you're not prepared to go to the games all over the country and come on the channel. So you're stuck with them, unfortunately, unless you want to do something about it. But listen, they're entitled to their opinion. And what you get with a fan cam straight after the game is you get a lot of passion. Now, I agree with a lot of what Pete said, but during the game, I didn't agree with Pete. I was voicing my opinions, but it doesn't mean we've fallen out. Opinions are opinions. And he has been supporting Millwall a fucking long time. And he's been going Millwall, home and away, a long time. So he's entitled to his opinion. And, you know, I've said it, our best, we tried our best, but our best isn't good enough. And he's entitled to feel, like a few people do, like I've seen in the comments, that we didn't really assert ourselves, we didn't really go for it and show enough fight going forward. Yes, we've lost the game. Yes, we was expecting to lose the game. But, you know, when the chips are down and there's a lot of stake, we didn't really go for it when we should have done the last 15 and properly applied ourselves and put pressure on them. I personally think we did, but we just couldn't get near it. We just couldn't get near the standard of play that we needed to get near to. So, you know, that's by the by. Kieran's fan cam, when people, he's saying, I think he's got a very good point, when he says, you know, regardless of whether we start up or not, Harris has to go and we need a fresh approach. I'm not sure Harris has to go, but we definitely 100% need a fresh approach, without an absolute doubt. Listen, honestly, I'll be straight. At the end of the season, Archer, gone. Amos, gone. Meredith, gone. Leonard, Tunnicliffe, Scalak, AOB, Fred. I'll get rid of them all. They've all got to go. And that sounds harsh, but if we're going to stay in this division and we're going to compete next season, there's too much dead wood now. There's too many players we've carried from the Championship. Tom Elliott, Steve Morrison, get rid of them. All of them, gone. A lot of players. And, you know, your argument might be to me, who the fuck we're going to get in? And I don't know. We've got to spend big and we've got to find a couple of gems. I'm pretty sure Lee Gregory's going to be gone at the end of the season. Now, Lee Gregory is our 7th all-time top scorer. We pulled him out of non-league and Ian Holloway signed him, so wear that one. But we've got to try and pull something out of the bag. There's too much League One dead wood, existing League One dead wood in our side nowadays, and we can't have it next season. We massively need a change. I personally, if Harris keeps us up, I still think he deserves the opportunity again next season. You know, you've got to look at his record as Millwall manager. Don't always look at our patterns of play and our tactics. Look at his record as Millwall manager. He deserves the opportunity, if he keeps us up, in my opinion, to have another go next year. But them players I've named there, they've all got to go, without doubt. You know, they've done their bit, they've done well for the club, but they're not good enough at this standard of football. And it shows more than anything when we are struggling, we've got nothing on the bench. We've got nothing on the bench. So we need to freshen up massively. We need to spend money. And again, I've said this before, I'll say it again, John Berylson. The players I've just named there that absolutely have to go. Meredith coming on a free, that's fine. We had a good season out of him. Tom Elliott coming on a free, that's fine. But two big players I've named there, Ryan Leonard and Yuri Scalak. And they've cost us a lot of money in our terms in the summer. So if I'm JB, I'm going to say to Harris again, look at the players you've signed. Some of them are not good enough. Now, does it warrant bringing in, as some people want, an older head around Harris? You know, get rid of Livermore and bring in a number 2 with more experience, or a director of football. I don't know Neil Harris personally, but the way he comes across, and it's not a bad thing, because I come across the same way. He's quite sure of himself, and I can't see him taking any shit and having people around him that could dictate to him. I don't think he's that sort of character. So it's very difficult to know what to do. I think, as again I say, Harris deserves his opportunity if he keeps us up this season, which is now looking like we will stay up. Rotherham have got to win both games. If they win both games, we've still only got to win one of our last 3. 2 of those are at home. So it's hard to know what to do, and it will be very interesting to see what happens in the summer if we do stay up. So that's it for this post-match analysis video. Sorry, that could have been very long and very confusing, but I've gone a bit deep there. I'm starting to worry about next season. Listen, this season is not over. We have got to win. And this Saturday against Stoke, I will do a pre-match. But as I've said, I would change things up massively. We've got to. For me, it's done and dusted with these players now. And a lot of them, I think, know that. And we're after relying on other results. I'd freshen out completely. I'd bring in, as I said, I'd change the whole midfield 5 if we had the players, but we haven't got the players. So it will be interesting to see what happens Saturday, and especially if we stay out, what happens in the summer. I'll see you for a pre-match prediction in 2 days. Please subscribe to Lions TV. Come on, you Lions.